Hello, my name is Gary Stafford, and I'd like to welcome you to Math 138 Pre-Calculus, Section 899, which is an online course. We are currently offering this course only in the summer. Maybe in the future we'll be doing this in fall and spring, but at the moment it will only be a summer class here at Missouri State University. Um, well, as online classes, um, there's good things and there's bad things. And I'm going to go through this in this welcoming video, what the good things are and what the bad things are. And I'm going to let you decide whether it's a course you might want to take. Okay, so let's start with the good and then I'll end with the bad and let you kind of decide what you want. And I will follow this video up with my video of the policy statement. All right. Let's start with the good things. Well, good things, online allows you to set your own schedule. You're not bound by coming to class, 4 days a week, sitting in the class for 2.5 hours a day, which is what we do for the traditional online classes here at Missouri State. So traditional courses here, we in the summer, it begins like at 9 o'clock and it ends about 11:15, and it's Monday through Thursday. So as you could tell, it's online, and you have to spend that much time on your own as well, but you at least get to set that schedule yourself. So if you work during the day, you can spend 2 or 3 hours a night, which is about what it's going to take, but you can do it at nighttime. Or if you wanted to work a lot on the weekends, you could do that as well. So it's just a schedule that you can set yourself. Now, when you're in a traditional class, a lot of times you will write notes and what the teacher is saying right on the board. But as you know, as you've ever taken a traditional class before, they sometimes will go often real fast for you, and you will miss something. And if you're brave, you can ask the teacher to slow down, or you can say, "Can you repeat that?" And sometimes the teacher will, and sometimes the teacher won't, based on the time that he or she has. And so if you get stuck on something, if you thought I moved too fast on a video, well, what can you do? Well, you just hit rewind and listen to it again. So, and PowerPoints is also another point of instruction that we use here for this online class. So the three basically main ones that you'll see for instruction for this course is my instructional videos. Videos that are created by the author, I'll occasionally put those in as well. PowerPoint presentations based on that subject matter, and the textbook itself. Now, the textbook is a given. It's for the traditional classes as well, and I do expect you to read the textbook. A lot of students in a math class do not read textbooks. Online classes, it's imperative that you do that. It's almost better to do that before you even watch my videos. And the videos make a lot more sense if you do that. I know time constraints sometimes, let me just skim through the book. And that's better than nothing. But this class, you really need to read the textbook. Videos will help tremendously if you do the reading beforehand. You have a lot of things at your disposal, but and you can actually do it over and over again. Whereas in a traditional class, you don't get that necessarily unless you go ask the teacher outside of class, and you can get it again that way sometimes as well. But it allows you to rewind, if you will, the lecture. Now, summer classes, we often have problems with students being able to take a class at Missouri State because they go home. Some people live in New York. Some people, I've had online students in my college algebra class, even though this is pre-calculus. I also teach the online college algebra course here at Missouri State. And I've had people take these classes in England, and a lot of places, other places in Europe as well. And so you don't have to be tied down to the Springfield area to take an online class. Now, yes, we do have to give proctored exams and things like that, but you don't have to be in the area to take those exams. You could take those exams at a university in your area. So yes, and I'll talk more about the proctored exams in my policy statement. But the good thing about this is you don't have to set foot on this campus to take this class if you have a place. Now, if you live in the sticks somewhere and you don't have access to a university or a library or something to that effect that has some kind of a proctoring center, that might be problematic. But if you're in an area that has some kind of a university or some kind of a two-year college or something to that effect, you should be able to take this class successfully. Okay, and again, I'll talk to you more about what's the specifics of this course when the time comes. So let me recap what I just said. Online classes are good for because you can set your own schedule. You can rewind videos and watch them again for instruction, and you don't have to be in the area to take this class. Now for the bad things. There are also three bad things. A lot of times when you're watching the videos and or reading the book, you're in instruction mode, as what I call it. You get questions, and in a traditional setting, you can get those questions answered rather quickly by raising your hand. Now, I'm not saying you can't ask me questions. You can, but you don't get it right away, because if you're sitting there reading your stuff and trying to learn the material, I'm not over your head, watching you do it. So if you have a question, you either have to make contact with me, and I'll give you the ways of how to contact me for questions in my policy statement as well. But they're not asynchronous, if you will. There is a time lapse, and some students don't like that, so they just say, I'll figure it out myself, and that gets them in trouble as well. But there is a time gap between the time you have the question and you get it answered. It might be as little as 30 minutes, because I try to respond very quickly. But it could be up to 24 hours before you get your question answered. So that is some problems there. Now, if you most often take traditional class settings, which means you go to a classroom and everything else, you got a teacher over you and says, have you done your homework? And they're on top of you, and they're asking you this, and you kind of feel guilty if you don't get it done. So, but you don't have that problem in an online class. But then the backside of that is that students they tend to procrastinate. I don't have to have this done until this day. I got 3 days to do it. Well, you got a lot of homework in those 3 days, but even though it's maybe not due until this specific day, you have to schedule yourself that you will get this done in a timely manner, because if you wait the night before to get all this homework in, you may have 5 homework assignments for that given week, and you can't possibly get those done in that one overnight. And so if you wait to the last minute to get it done, you're not going to get it done. And so students tend to procrastinate in this course. That's one of the biggest problems I've had in my college algebra class is procrastination. They think they can figure it out all on their own and all in one night, and it just doesn't happen. I mean, if that could happen, if that was possible, then our traditional classes we'd meet once a week and say, here it is, and go do it, and come back to me when it's due. And I mean, it doesn't work that way in a traditional class, and it doesn't work that way in an online class. But since you don't have that teacher over you, students do tend to procrastinate. So you got to watch that. You got to schedule yourself at least 2 to 3 hours a day to get this class done successfully. If you're not willing to spend, because you got to remember, this is a 5-hour class, not just a 3-hour class. So if it's at a 5-hour class, you're supposed to be spending around 15 to 20 hours a week minimum on the whole course for a 5-hour class. And 20 hours to me, would be minimum, especially if you struggle. If you struggle, it's going to probably take you 20 to 25 hours. If you're a really good math student and you've not had problems with math in the past, you might could get by with 15 hours. But typically, students will spend 20 to 25 hours in a 5-hour class if it's a traditional course. Now, this is an online class, and so online classes are typically more difficult because you are on your own. And yeah, you got me helping you along with questions and stuff like that, but it's still not the same. And so I help you as much as I can, but at the end of the day, it's more on you than it is on me because I don't see you every single day like in a traditional class. But a lot of students don't need that. A lot of students you give them the instruction and you give them that, and they can get it and move it. And those are the students online classes are designed for. But if you need a lot of individual help, this may not be the course for you. It gets very frustrating on the student end that they read something and they have more questions than the sentences they read. And if that's the case, it's very difficult. And so you got to remember this is designed for certain students, not for all students. Traditionals for some is the best way to go. And then that kind of goes along with my third point as well. My third point is people are used to traditional. They're not used to online. Online is really a relatively new concept of teaching any class. And it's less than 20 years old. I mean, it was developed 15 to 20 years ago. And back in those days, it was like it was really rough to teach those kind of classes because online technology was very limited back in those days. Today, it's not, and we can throw things at you instructionally, so it makes it easier to do and easier to teach. But in a way, it makes it more difficult to learn because we have higher expectations because we can throw that material out there at you, and you should be able to get it that way. And so those are the bad things. I mean, it's good for a lot of students, but not for everybody. So recapping the bad things would be questions are not always answered asynchronously, which basically means there's always a time gap. You got problems with procrastination. You're going to have problems with this course, and people they succeed in what they're used to, and students are used to traditional courses. So if you're not technologically savvy, if you will have a problem with that. And so, but anyway, those are the good and the bad of any online class. And but hopefully we'll have a really good course. This is only going to be taught in the summer, like I said, and it's a good course. I will have spent a lot of time developing this class, and if you give it a chance, you will succeed. But you got to give it a chance. If you meet the prerequisites, which again I'll talk about in a policy statement, then you should be fine if you're willing to spend the time necessary. So if you're going to spend 4 or 5 hours a week, don't bother. It's not really going to work for you. You've got to spend at least 15 to 20 hours minimum for this course. I wish everyone well, and I want to say this one last time. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me via email, and I will be giving you my email, my policy statement. And I am approachable. You just gotta take the time to do it, and I think we can do this really well if you spend the time. So have a good day, and hopefully have a good summer. Thank you.